Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Christ Church, Tunstall, once again. Bill, you can come sit up here in the middle. We're very, very, very pleased to see the turnout tonight. And we think we've got some very good news for you. Well, I hope you believe it's good news. The only sole agenda point tonight is levelling up. Levelling up programme. We've heard a lot about it. We've heard politicians talking about it. We've had the wonderful Mark Connell come a couple of times to talk about it as well, and other people too. I'm very, very pleased to have with us tonight Mark once again, also Yvonne, who's going to talk about some funding streams that she's accessed as well, and Steve Ralphs, who's going to also talk to us about how the money can be spent and where we should be spending it. This is a public consultation. It is very, very important that you have your say on what's going to happen in your town. But certain things have had to happen already just so we can move forward. And the great news is that you've seen the development of some of the work at the Memorial Park. We're hoping for that to continue. We're going to let Yvonne and Steve talk about that, and Mark too. We've got great news in the fact that we've got more funding streams coming in. We've got the £20 million that was originally given to us, or given to Tunstall, which has been spent in the swimming baths and the old library. There's also another £4.5 million. It's not enough to sort the town out, but it's a great starting point. This is what we've been lobbying for, to understand where the money's going, how it's going to be used, and our role, I believe our role, is to bring you all into that. Ask each and every one of you, where do you want the money spending? Where's it got to be? But you need to understand the constraints of where that money can be spent as well. Because the government are very glad at giving us money, and I'm not being political now, any organisation is good at giving us money, but they need to tell us where it's going to be spent so that they are accountable to their position as well. Tunstall's a lovely town. It's got a lot going for it. It's not at its best at the moment, to say the least. We all live here, we all work here, we all care about it. We all want to visit it, we all want to see it thriving. And hopefully, after tonight, you'll feel a little bit more invigorated about the fact that people are taking us seriously. David Williams was on to us. He contacted us last week. He thought he may be able to make it tonight. I don't know whether he will, but I don't think tonight was the time for him to come and talk to you now. So, because we couldn't get the publicity out there and we couldn't get that confirmed, David has very graciously said, please tell the people of Tunstall I care. Please tell the people of Tunstall I know the town. Please tell the people of Tunstall I'm one of them. He is very, he was very well informed at that little meeting we had. He was very well informed, and he's inviting us to all sorts of things. And he will. He's categorically said to us, he will come and talk to us. He will come and stand up and tell us how passionate he is about Tunstall and what's going on. I don't think tonight was the right time for it, because it's about the levelling up. And he can't talk as well as Mark, Yvonne, and Steve will be able to. So I'm going to now invite Mark, Yvonne, and Steve to come here and share with us their vision and how this money can be spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And thanks for inviting us again tonight to talk to where we've got to with the levelling up money. You'll have heard sort of in the past we had some big awards, things like the Goods Yard and Truston Square, which have been big capital projects. But subsequently, just before the last government, when government left, they
put the clicker.
Okay. Look at how they can be delivered and make sure that that's agreeable with government. So we've been going through that process, getting the delivery plans set up to do that process. So tonight, I know Tim introduced it as a consultation. These aren't our plans. These are sort of initial ideas to get the discussion going. And Steve, who heads up our landscape team at the City Council, has worked tirelessly to put a shopping list of potential ideas together, and this is the first viewing of that effectively. What we hope to do after tonight is just take your views into consideration and then do a broader public consultation out on the high street, down by the market, some of the popular places in the town itself, to get a really robust feeling of what people think the priorities are. Because as with always, we've got a pot of money, and as Tim says, £4.5 million, it sounds a lot of money, but when you start doing street works and public realm improvements, it doesn't go as far as we'd like it to. So it is a bit of a shopping list of the possible, but trying to pick your brains and your ideas as to what the art of the possible might be, to see where the priorities are. We've also got with us tonight Helen Evans. Helen Evans has been working, she's an officer in the City Council, been working closely with effectively a group like this within Stoke Town. That was awarded a small amount of money, £250,000, something like that, to again stimulate footfall in the town centre. And what I'd like to do, if I can, I haven't got permission yet, but I'm working on it, is to top slice some of this £4.5 million of money to give this group a small amount of money to develop projects that it wants to develop. And that can be around events, it could be around improving street furniture, it could be around just activities in the town for visitors. We can share at some point through Tim, we can share the types of projects that that's managed to launch in Stoke Town. So things like what they've done there is things like more security for the shopkeepers. So we've got a radio system that we're building on the back of. I know there's one in the town here. Again, we could do the same. We've got trying to launch a food festival one night every month to get people into the town and to use the facilities. So ideas that come forward, and you would effectively, through Tim and the committee, would approve those ideas as they go forward. So that's one for the future. But today, as I say, it's just around those initial ideas on the public realm and issues around antisocial behaviour, because in addition to the £4.5 million that we've got for public realm, there's £1 million for antisocial behaviour. It's not all for Tunstall, so it is about hotspots, and Yvonne is leading a team that will help implement that. The downside is that it's capital money, so you're not able to use it for people on the street, but you can undertake capital works that try and tackle or target harden those areas and those places where you do find antisocial behaviour. So Yvonne can cover that off. But I'll leave you in Steve's hands, and I'm sure we'll talk through the presentation, and then perhaps at the end we can have a question and answer session, if that's okay. Is that okay?
Thanks. As Mark said, tonight is just a kind of introduction and overview of the public realm and the Design Out Crime initiatives. So we're just going to talk a bit about the issues and the constraints in Tunstall, but also the positive aspects. There's opportunities in the town centre that we can build on as part of the public realm scheme. Talk a bit about the aims of the scheme, what we're hoping it'll achieve. And then we've just put together a list of ideas, really, just for a kind of initial consultation with you on how and what the money can be spent on. And then we talk about the kind of process that we'll go through in order to deliver the scheme. I think Mark's covered most of this. So in total, there's £20 million of Levelling Up Partnership funding awarded to the council, and that's going to be spent on quite a broad programme of work across the city. So £6.5 million of the £20 million has been allocated for public realm improvements, and Tunstall's getting the lion's share of that. It's £4.5 million in Tunstall, and the rest going to Stoke, Longton and Burslem. As Mark said, there's also £1 million for the Design Out Crime work, which will be spent in Tunstall, Longton and Stoke, and Yvonne will talk a bit more about that. So we've now been given the green light. Sorry? Okay, sorry. Now been given the green light to begin spending the money. Just in terms of the scope of what the money will be spent on, so the public realm funding is for elements like new paving, street furniture, tree planting, artwork, basically anything in the spaces between the buildings in the town centre. And the design out crime funding generally spent on things like CCTV, environmental improvements, alligating and fencing. There's a bit of crossover between the work that myself and Yvonne will be doing, so we'll be working together to make sure that we're covering everything and not duplicating things as we go through the work. Just a bit about the issues. We know there's a lack of footfall on the high street, generally decline in business confidence, partly to do with the adjacent retail parks, probably sucked people out of the high street, but also things like internet spend has led to a general decline in retail, not just in Tunstall, but across the country. So there's been a kind of corresponding decline in building condition in the town centre, and planning colleagues, I think, are taking action on some of the properties already. Poor quality public realm, it's a bit patchy and tired in the town centre, inconsistent. It doesn't really kind of gel together to give the town centre a coherent feeling and identity. We're aware of the antisocial behaviour issues. That's something Yvonne's been looking at and investigating, and I believe it's kind of particularly concentrated around the Tower Square area. There's a bit of a severance as well from between the Town Hall and Tower Square. The road running in front of the Town Hall kind of disconnects the Town Hall from the rest of the square. So we're hoping to kind of reconnect it and improve the square environment. As I said, a lot of opportunities we can build on. The heritage and culture of the town. It's got a distinct identity and history. It has got a good urban fabric. The listed buildings surround the Tower Square and give it a natural kind of focus. A lot of the other centres that we're looking at don't really have that kind of central space within the town. The indoor market and retail park draws people into the town. I think the problem is that they're just not going further afield into the town centre and the high street. And Tower Square, as I said, provides that natural focus for the town and an opportunity for activities and events. We've got the Tunstall Library development happening, and the town centre's got a good catchment area. There's a lot of residential areas within easy walking distance and good connection to the town centre. So this is what we're hoping will be achieved. Ultimately, the objective is to increase the footfall, and we do that by providing high quality, attractive spaces to encourage people into the town, spend more time and hopefully spend more money in the local economy. Provide opportunities for pavement cafes and a multifunctional space which can accommodate year-round activities and programme of community events and festivals to bring people into the town. I know you're kind of working on that already. There's a lot happening in the town. And hopefully encourage private sector investment, increasing business confidence and stimulating leisure activity and activity in the nighttime economy. A good example of how this has worked elsewhere is Altrincham, up in Manchester, where the town was in severe decline back in 2010. And there's been a lot of investment in the public realm alongside business coordination and a programme of events and activities that has drawn people back into the town and provided a buzz really about how the town operates these days. And obviously the increased footfall reduces antisocial behaviour and crime and fear of crime. It's just some examples. These are all of Altrincham. You can see the public realm that they provides opportunities for pavement cafes. Top right is the indoor market with activity that spills out into the public realm as well. And then the bottom right is a kind of an entrance gateway space into the town centre that just makes you feel like you're going into somewhere special. Some more examples. Top left is up in Oldham. You can see how they've incorporated the history of the cotton mills into some of the public realm elements, the seating elements in the town centre. Top right is the Peace Hall in Halifax, and that's a refurbished space which provides opportunities for Christmas markets and a year-round programme of events. The bottom left, I think, is Dundalk in Ireland. You can see the kind of importance of lighting in the evening and how the town centre needs to operate in the evening as well. And then the bottom right is Fishergate in Preston, where they've transformed the main shopping street, reducing the dominance of the vehicle traffic and making a much more attractive space for pedestrians. So these are just some initial thoughts on where we could spend the money. As I've said, the main focus we think will be the Tower Square area to create a high-quality centrepiece in the town, new paving, tree planting, street furniture, and opportunities for pavement cafes and cultural events. And I've mentioned reconnecting trying to reconnect the town hall with the town hall frontage as well to create a proper square. Could look at improvements along the high street, increasing the pavement widths, reducing the carriageways, tree planting, and then potentially a kind of gateway feature at the northern end of the high street just to raise the profile and presence of the high street. Similar to the Altrincham scheme, we could use a kind of focal point just to announce your arrival into the town centre. We've had some thoughts about the underpass as well and improving the connection. Discussed the possibility of removing the underpass and putting a surface crossing in there, which would obviously improve the spaces either side as well if we take out the ramps and all of the railings and things like that. So we improve the connection then over to the new library development, and we could look at improving the connection across to the retail centre as well to try and get more footfall along Butterfield Place into the town centre. And we've already started to have a look at the memorial gardens. That's something that Yvonne's going to be focusing on as part of the Design Out Crime scheme, which leads naturally on to Yvonne's bit.
Good evening. So we've talked about the heritage and we've talked about Tunstall having its own identity. The problem that we've got is that we've got a lot of antisocial behaviour. So I've been working really closely with the local PCSOs and a number of stakeholders locally, and we've actually started to implement some interventions. The funding that we've got now means that I'm not restricted to one particular area or location. So we've expanded, as you can see, you've got the work which is the public realm areas highlighted there, but you'll probably see that there's some residential properties that are included in that. What we've done in the past is that we've actually added gating to restrict access to those who only need access to alleyways, etc. And ultimately, what we're doing through the funding that we've got reducing antisocial behaviour is actually extending that opportunity to those areas where they have struggled and continue to struggle with antisocial behaviour, and actually you've got groups of individuals in the back of the properties where they don't need to be. So there is no set area as long as it is Tunstall. And we've identified a number of areas already, but we do need advice and guidance from residents to say, actually, I am struggling with this particular behaviour. Now we're talking about things like rough sleeping, drug taking, fly tipping, those kinds of elements we will address, okay? The funding that we've got also adds 2 additional CCTV cameras, and I'm pleased to say that under a different pot, you will be getting another 13 cameras before Christmas. However, there is more to put in if we need to, and these aren't movable cameras, these are fixed cameras. So that creates, reduces the fear that people will have in coming into Tunstall, because there will be evidence of CCTV. In terms of the environmental impact, as we've talked about the heritage, I'm fully aware that this small town, an important town, actually has had buildings here since 1818. What we need to do when we look at antisocial behaviour is to reduce the impact of antisocial behaviour, but also review the heritage at the same time. So we actually are complementing the existing heritage. And I'm very much aware that some of the schemes that Steve has mentioned, we will overlap. And overlapping areas such as the memorial gardens. Now we have a pavilion there at the moment which is going to have some maintenance work before Christmas. However, under this scheme, what I'm looking to do is to actually regenerate that pavilion and make sure that it can be used for other events going forward. And we will want to consult with the local residents to ensure that whatever design we come up with, it's in keeping with that particular structure and that actually it's in keeping with what the community needs, okay? So you'll see some cutting back at the moment, and as I said, there's further work to be done before Christmas. In terms of other areas that we're looking at the town hall. When you walk past the side of the town hall, you'll notice that there's been a lot of covering up of break-ins. That gives fear to people coming and visiting. So we're actually going to look at trying to replicate what historically was there, and again some work will be done towards protecting the building itself. We've also got the high street. I'd like to walk down a high street and go, wow, this is very much like a market town. So we'll be working with colleagues such as Helen to ensure that there will be opportunities to enlighten the high street again and make sure that actually the owners, as well as the business owners, actually are able to access some funding to ensure that the high street looks attractive. And that complements a lot of the work that Steve will be doing in terms of the public realm. Because if you actually then make people want to come and visit, you have natural surveillance, which means then that there's more people visiting and antisocial behaviour suddenly goes down. We also need you all to report any antisocial behaviour to your local PCSOs, because without those reports, we don't have the data to focus on targeted areas. So when we actually look at the priorities, it is going to be based on where's the prevalence of antisocial behaviour, where's the prevalence of crime taking place at the moment. So although obviously there's an area there highlighted, we're very focused on reducing antisocial behaviour, not just within the town, but around the town. So I hope that you can actually reach out to your PCSOs or myself, and we will actually come up with a plan that we can bring back here and actually talk about getting this resolved. Now, some of the things are not in our gift. As Mark has said, it's about capital spend for me, not about human resources. So it's important that we are aware of our restrictions of what we can and what we can't do. So, unless there's any questions, I'll hand back.
Thanks, Yvonne. So just to say, in terms of the process that we'll undertake going forward, as I've said, we're going to be working with specialist urban designers to develop the ideas, and they'll come back and talk to you, and you'll be able to have an input into that process as well. And then there'll be a period where we kind of go quiet for a bit, where we carrying out surveys and they're producing ideas and designs, which will then be brought back to you for a wider public consultation, so you'll have input at that stage as well. As I said, we're integrating myself and Yvonne's work, and some of that work will start before the public realm work, so you will see things happening in the town. And then we'll need to develop the detailed designs and appoint a contractor to carry out the works, which we're expecting to take about 12 to 18 months, so it's quite a long process in delivering the works on site. But through that whole process, there'll be ongoing liaison with yourselves, so that you'll be able to input into the process. When the works are on site, the contractor will appoint a specialist liaison officer, so you'll have access to the contractors as well, and they'll be able to resolve any issues with the deliveries to businesses and things like that. Whilst the works are on site. So that's the kind of process that we'll be going through in delivering the work. Okay.
Was a bit previous then, wasn't it, Steve? I'm sorry, I didn't realise. I didn't realise you were going to continue then, Steve. Well, thank you very much. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm enthused very much by the fact that we seem to be on the map now at last. I thank Mark, I thank Steve, I thank Yvonne for being here. Helen, did you want to say something to us at all? Is she here with us at all? Would you want to share something do you want to share something with us, Helen? Have you got any questions that you think we should be asking because you've been here before? We're starting on a journey, I believe, a journey where we can help with the regeneration of our town, help with the businesses to develop, to have attract businesses and to bring things in. It's little steps at first. They're quite big ones actually with that amount of money that's been spent, but it's enough to get us going. But we can't do things unless you tell us what you want us to do. And unless you support us in doing that. I reiterate, Yvonne says about telling the police, I say this every time we have a meeting, if they don't know, they're not recorded, there's no incentive. The local authority, like any other authority, will deal on the data, as the police do, as everybody else do. Put the complaint in. There's loads of different ways. I know 101's a pain, we all know that. Or whatever we phone's a pain, some ways. Do it on the internet if you can. If you can't, and you feel as though you don't know how to do it, go to the library. Somebody will put it in for you. They'll support you.
Could I also just say that part of the intelligence that I work on, yes, we've got data, but also speak to your PCSOs. Yeah. Because actually, what I always do is I actually say, well, sometimes that data, as soon as it's produced, is out of date. So I always speak to the local PCSOs and say, what trends are currently happening now? Because actually they are living and breathing and supporting the community. But if you don't at least verbalise that, they won't know and I won't know. So I think it's important not just to record it, but actually to communicate it through different ways, and then at least we can actually address it as soon as it becomes apparent.
And we're very lucky to have 2 or 3 very good, more than that. All the PCSOs working in our town are excellent. That's not just because you're sitting there. And I do mean that in many ways. It's great to see their involvement in it. They're there to help us. So let's help them to help us. Right, I'm going to put it open a little bit now. I'm going to go out there. Has anybody in the room got a question they'd like to ask or they'd like to bring forward for anybody in the room here today? Anybody at the moment? Yeah. We'll just bring a microphone to you so you... Can you just introduce yourself and then we know...
Yeah. Good evening, my name's Paul Harrison. I'm a local resident. I live about 3 miles away from here and I've done for the last 5 years. First of all, my first question, before we do anything, you three people have spoken wonderfully about what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. Have any of you ever been involved in any lawlessness? So I'm asking you if you've ever been in a situation where there's complete and utter lawlessness. Have you been in that situation?
I would say to you is I've experienced it, yes.
In what sense?
Where you've got people, or groups of people who are drinking and taking drugs near to my home.
Right.
So what I would say to you is that I'm not currently living with it, but I have experienced it.
Okay.
And I understand that not only is it very stressful, but it also changes the way in which you live your life.
Okay.
But what I would say is that We cannot allow antisocial behaviour to carry on, and that's why we've got the funding to address it where we can.
Okay. What I'm going to say to you, do you know a street in Stoke-on-Trent called Seaford Street? Have any of you ever heard of Seaford Street? No? Yes,
Shelton.
it is. Yeah. That was the last time, until this last 12 months, 2 years, that lawlessness raised its head in Stoke-on-Trent. I was there that night and saw what happened. And luckily for Stoke-on-Trent, we had guys working in positions of power, not in the council or anything else. In the police force, we had ex-army men who sorted that situation out and sorted it quickly. It didn't go on for months and months and even years now, like it is doing here. Before we spend any of this money, I ask you, I beg and pray of you, to please put some policing back on the ground. This young man here, I feel so sorry for these guys. I really do. I've been in his position as a PC for 17 years. I feel so sorry for him because he's got nothing behind him. Absolutely nothing. I think, can I just come back to a point you made earlier on? Our wonderful MP should have been here tonight because he's the man who's got to answer the questions. And 12 months ago, David come to my home and went, sorry,
I'd agree with you that David did want to come tonight, and for some reason. He could have been here tonight, it was a possibility. But tonight's agenda is about this development.
Yeah,
I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you're saying. Come along, send us an email, put your concerns in so that we can pass it on to the police force. We can pass it on to the crime commissioner.
But you've got nobody to pass it on to.
Crime commissioner.
You've got nobody to I know the crime commissioner and shake hands with him probably 5 or 6 times a year. You're doing nothing. He's an ex-Conservative MP. He isn't going to want to know a Labour government. You know as well as me. And he knows as well.
Say to you, I understand your concerns. I really do understand your concerns, Harrison. But this meeting is, I understand you're bringing concerns about antisocial behaviour. These are the tools that they want to use to do that.
But they're not going to use them tools, sir. They're not going to use those tools unless you've got groundwork in place, unless you've set the parameters in the first instance. No matter what you do with that, is never going to do anything.
I understand that. I understand what you're saying, and I do take those concerns on. I think you make a fair point, and you make a really good point. This meeting tonight is not necessarily about the policing. Come to us, make an appointment, come to one of us, one of our officials. We'll help you, and you can help us to put together.
Let me tell you something. I understand what you're saying to me. I was with, I'm sorry, is it Mrs. Ashworth? Jane Ashworth?
Jane Ashworth, yeah.
I was with her 4 weeks ago. And she sat there and did exactly what you were doing. She shook her head and said, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right in what you're saying.
We are.
You're right in what you're saying, but we have constraints. You mentioned something, and I wrote it down. When you first stood up, you mentioned something, and you said the accountability for monies given to these schemes. And you've got to be accountable to government for money and how it's spent.
I'm not a politician.
No, I'm not saying that you are, but that's what you said.
We are volunteers that have come together
Yeah.
to try and improve the town, and we understand your concerns. We are a voice for you. We are a voice for the people of Tunstall, and we will work with that voice to bring it forward. Jane Ashworth is the head of our council. She has some authority to deal with that, but I don't want to get political on that because that's not our standing at the moment. We will get within, after Christmas, I want Jane Ashworth and David Williams sitting in this room. I want them to answer exactly what you're saying, because we've got 12 to 18 months to deliver on this work.
Okay.
And that's,
that's what the consultation is about. Can I just go back to this? Again, very adequately, you've all spoken very adequately about this. What's the one point in this town? There's one point, a trigger point, because there's always a trigger point in a town. What's the one trigger point in this town that any of you would think is making a massive difference at the moment I'm coming to now, before we start this, that's making a massive difference to the town.
The Sneed on.
Pardon?
The Sneed on.
No,
The Memorial Garden.
no.
Share
You're
with
close on. It's
Share
another,
with us,
it's
share with
another pub, and I don't want to name the pub if you don't mind, because I don't want to do anything to his business. But it's another pub that needs sorting before you start and do any of this.
Understand where you're coming from, and I understand, and thanks for the question. Please stay back afterwards, give us your number, give us what we can, and we will take those, and we will reiterate your concern to Jane Ashworth again. And we'll get, she's the only one that can make a difference with the local MP. We'll get him here, so you can have your say. Thank you for that. Anybody else got anything they'd like to say? Thank you. You do need that.
I don't need it.
Yes, good on the stream as well, so it's better if you can.
Okay. I don't agree with getting rid of the subway, the underpass, because you've got two schools this side of the subway. That road is so busy that it's going to create accidents for the kids, not necessarily just for kids, but you know, you've got kids walking home from school, going to school.
Before you go much further on, when you read this or look at this, I agree with you, and this is something we've discussed. We've discussed it with Yvonne and with Steve, that we're considering shutting the underpass at some stage and putting proper crossings across where the traffic lights are so that it makes more access. We'd love to put a bridge on, we'd love to do this, but that's £5 million gone before we start.
But we've got crossings.
I know, but the crossings are too high up. We want them where the underpass is, so you can get it across that way.
I just think it's a bit of, for me, I've lived in Tunstall all my, majority of my life in Tunstall. That to me is a piece of history.
The underpass? Yeah. I'd agree with you. I love it.
So I don't see why shutting it. I get shut it off at a certain point in the night, open it up in the day.
That's what consultation's about. That's a fair point.
Yeah, gate it. I don't think getting rid would be, personally don't think it'd be a very good idea.
I understand, hear it, and that's good.
Because when, as well, not only that, when you said about bringing the market and the town together, how are you going to do that? Because then that's going to, if you block it up...
Let's listen to what they're going to say.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's wait for the plans to come.
Yeah.
And then we can go in. That's what consultation is.
My question then would be, you're going to take that, if you do take that piece of road away, where's the traffic going? Straight along where where we're going to put those?
It's just an idea at this stage. And,
and I get that.
We brought it along as an idea.
But you wanted opinions, so I've given you one.
I think it's kind of generally agreed that the underpass isn't a very attractive space to be in. And, you know, it's something that we...
Can I have a show of hands? I'm going to take a hijack for a second. Can I have a show of hands just for a second? Just for a second, on one issue. If we say, as an association, we all get together, how many of you are going to come and help us improve that underpass? Help us get rid of the graffiti. Help us clean it up. For business, thank you. On the agenda. If we ask for that to happen, and you all turn out, maybe you won't have to shut it.
Could I just actually say that although the underpass is part of your history, it has been neglected. And I've walked up and underneath that underpass, and it, like you said, it's not safe for a woman to walk through there at night. However, in the last few months, I've seen an absolute deterioration of that underpass in terms of graffiti, the tiles coming off. Now, we've got some CCTV cameras that are fixed cameras that will be pointing at the entrance and the rear of that underpass. Now, one of the options through public realm is to consider closing it. What we're actually saying is that if you don't want it closed, then it's about actually making it brighter, making it a better experience. And that's where myself and Steve will work closely together with you to make sure that it is an environment that you would be happy for your children to walk under. Now, clearly, if you are less mobile, one of the concerns I've got is actually if you're pushing somebody up there or down there in a wheelchair, how hard is it? So we need to consider not just about able-bodied people, but the less able, because the more people that use it, if we don't close it down, the better surveillance we're going to have, natural surveillance. Take on board any comments that you want to bring forward, and we'll develop our plans jointly with regards to what the group want. But I think it needs to be reached out to a wider audience as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, that's great. Thank you for that. I love the show of hands. We'll do something in any case, won't we? Yeah, we need to look at the tiles and everything, so let's strategically do it, Carl. Yeah, brilliant. If you can get that graffiti off after Tuesday, that's brilliant. That'll be good. 12:30 on Tuesday. 12:30 on Tuesday. If you can get down there and help, that'll be brilliant.
We've got the local scouts that will happily come along and help on the weekends with what TS Domestics and that are doing.
Yeah.
Obviously they can't come during the week because they're at school, but these are young children, adults, tweens that want to get involved in their community, and they want to take back their community from the antisocial behaviour, and they're not being given the opportunity to do it. Not because the adults aren't doing a good enough job, but they go out and they do litter picking all across Stoke-on-Trent. They go up to places like Festival Park and that. Places like Tunstall, when we're doing marches for veteran days and things like that, the kids would love to be involved in all of the things in Tunstall, especially the local kids, but there's few and far between things in Tunstall for them to do. Our closest one for us is either Burslem or Golden Hill. So we've got to go out of the area for safe things for our children to do. Yeah, we need a youth club, really. Ideally, that would be an amazing thing for them to go and do safely. Again, they have to go to places like Chell, Feghays, Mere. There's a company that runs across Stoke-on-Trent called Dizzy Heights, and they're amazing with the children, and they're funded, but we need something like that in Tunstall for them. Like I say, Anise is part of the scout group, and she happily would arrange things like that.
I went to 12 City Scouts, which was based at this church. I went to 12 City Scouts. I was a cub there in a scout. It was based at the top of Broomhill Street in Tunstall. I went there. I did everything there. I did what we could. I loved it. Since that's been shut, yeah, you've got to go to Golden Hill. I agree. That's the only place that is open. We need in this town as well, we really know that, and this is on our agenda, we need community space to use. We have nowhere that we can actually use this. We have to come into this church on a volunteer basis because the local authority can't open the town hall for us. We can't get into the town hall. We can't get into the community centre at the end of the town. If that community centre at the end of the town is becoming available, why can't we have the scouts there? Why can't we have people using it? We've got a wonderful community centre here that Father John does use for the church hall. But it's hard because they're all booked up because there's so little in the town. That's something we want to move on.
So with my previous hat on, what I would say is that if the church was able to provide some activities for your children during the summer holidays, for example, you're quite easily to apply for the space programme.
Yeah.
And I believe that the actual bids are being requested December, January time, and that will pay for the staff to run these activities, but you need a provider to come in and support you as a community. But if you are happy to do that as part of the church, then I would suggest putting an application in.
Yeah, through Challenge Church of the Saviour, they do something like that. Sorry, you wanted to, it's going to cut across you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, me and Gemma from Savers on the High Street. I just want to know, are you coming down as far as us, or are you just staying to the northern side? And I'm also, obviously, the GLV at the Golden Hill Scouts. We get rejected by people in Tunstall for litter picks. We go as far as Festival Park, because they don't want these kids. Now, there's nothing wrong with my kids. I have 78 kids from the age of 4 to 18. And they all want to go out. We used to go cleaning around Golden Hill, the old people's frontage. We got told no, because you're kids. There's nothing wrong with my kids.
No, there isn't.
There isn't. Basically, those 78 kids are my kids. And lady can prove to you, I call them my kids, and they get tarnished because, one, they're in a uniform, we get called a cult. We're not a cult. We're a youth organisation, yes, a uniformed organisation. They want to come litter pick in Tunstall. They got told no.
By who? By who?
We've been told no because these council. They actually sent us litter picking equipment and bags and got told no.
Who did?
Council.
Okay, well,
But
okay.
obviously, test domestics, obviously you're doing a cracking job and we love you for it.
Oh, Tab. Well, let's get Tab going.
Yeah,
Tab will
you know,
access that. Right, Tab
he's
will get
doing
that
a
sorted.
cracking job and you cannot knock him. But it says something when businesses have got to do something to get something done. That, you know, the council can't even be asked to let pick her down.
Let's be honest, let's be open about it, and I'm not being political now.
No,
the council's
I'm not.
bust. We've got no money.
No.
So we've got to put it in ourselves. And what we're doing is trying to incentivise that. Tomorrow, we're hoping to go and clear some of this rubbish at the side of Christchurch, which backs onto this and then an Aldi. That's something we're going to try and do. We're going to try and get that sorted out. We're going to try and get things moving forward just for a little bit. We can get Cubs and Scouts involved. Contact us. We'll ask. People out there, people on the screens, people in this room. If you've got a project you want us to do and you know the Cubs and Scouts can do it, let us know. We'll put you in touch. Then you can make your links. We can't be there all the time, but we need that sort of support. Yeah. I know. You're on the high street. You're in that part of that programme as far as I'm concerned. But they'll answer that. Yeah. That's that. Yeah, but didn't Yvonne just say, but we reach out to other areas as well? Didn't she just say that? And so this is just a starting plan. This is just a consultation. This will move.
What I would say to you is that I'm actually part of the Days of Action. And if there is a particular activity that you want to do, then I can take that back and we can incorporate Days of Action to include yourselves. I think what we've also got to be aware of is that when the council is actually supporting activities, they're also directly responsible. So it's about making sure that they are not, that they're meeting the regulatory compliance that they need to. But we certainly do Days of Action in Tunstall, and I'm happy to say that there's not many people that turn up. So I know you do. But what I was going to say is I think it's about advertising those Days of Action. Do you not turn up?
I don't know when they are.
So I know that Councillor Dean, you've turned up at the Days of Action, and it is really about highlighting, and yourself. But yeah, I think the Days of Action gets the community working together and actually highlighting what needs to be done.
I think we need that link so that we understand we can get it out there, and we can because you've seen how many people are willing to help by a show of hands there. It's wonderful to see.
I think communication goes two ways.
Absolutely.
We need to make sure that we engage with you about things that we would like to do and to support your vision. However, actually, when you're doing works, particularly around sort of the heritage buildings, we absolutely need to work together because actually we're trying to protect the infrastructure of that building. And again, even when we look at the subway, and if we're doing something, we make sure that whatever we do, we're doing it together. Because what we can't do is actually see, I could get somebody to jet wash the wall, but I could take all of that mural art away. So we need to make sure that we're working together. So whatever plans you'd like to do, like whatever plans I'd like to do, it's about coming together and creating that one unified plan. And I think that will actually have more dividends than working separately.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because if we don't want to damage heritage buildings for the sake of cleaning them, but we want to clean them, so let's help us to help you, and we'll help you both ways. That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Sorry, Shameen.
Hi, my name's Shameen Richardson. I'm Vice Chair of the Tunstall Town Community Association.
Microphone up a bit.
Hiya, here we go. So, all the people that have raised concerns about events or things that they want to do within the town centre, please, please stay behind, have a chat with me, let me take your details, and we will, as a community group, we can take your concerns, your thoughts forward and ask for answers from the council and from other organisations. We will work with Yvonne, as she said, and hopefully your kids will be involved. We certainly want them to be. So, you know, thank you for all of that. On that note, I'm just going to plug the Tunstall Town Christmas event on the 7th of December. It is going to be a little bit bigger than last year, hopefully. We've got a lot of things going on. We've got fun fairs, face painting, stalls, music, and all sorts of things going on. So that's something that hopefully our local community can look forward to. And so please come along. If anyone would like to volunteer on the day, get involved, please let me know. And also, if any of your kids would like to perhaps sing some Christmas carols, we would be up for it. But yeah, so thank you. So yeah, do stop behind and have a chat with the PCSO as well. Anything that you want to raise with him is here for a little while. So, you know, don't think it's just sort of ending. We are going to be around. Okay?
Can we have a show of hands? Anybody
Another
else?
quick, while we're plugging things, it's the Christmas fair at Christchurch this Saturday. You may have seen a flyer in the pew. So yeah, that's 11 till 2 on Saturday. Come to our Christmas craft fair on Saturday, and then come and support the one on the 7th of December as well.
It's his building, I can't argue with it.
Yeah, my church, so yeah, free plugs. Right, any
Absolutely.
questions?
Hello, my name's Andy. I've lived in this town for 58 years. You have to excuse me, I'm not very good at speaking. I work with my hands. I can say how upset I am every time I walk around the town. Totally upset. I go home, I could cry, okay? You've mentioned a few things tonight, and I just want to mention a few things. Firstly, the square. The square's already been paved at great expense. You must be aware of that. It was done. And within a short space of time, all the paving was moving, and then you've patched it up with tarmac. That's the first thing. It was already done. Yeah? The trees. You've already cut some trees down in the square. Yeah? What happens? All the roots cause subsidence. People can't walk, they trip over, they trip hazard. Has anybody here walked down Victoria Park Road? Has anybody walked down Victoria Park Road? Have any of you walked down Victoria Park Road? You know where Victoria Park Road is? Walk down by the Catholic Church. The trees, when I look back at the old photos, when the trees were first put in, it looked beautiful. You go walk down there now. There's lumps as high as these, okay, with roots. And then you've just been talking about access for disabled people. I walk around this town now every day, and what I see is shocking. You can't just paper over the cracks with new trees and new paving. You can't, okay? The subway. Why do you want to put something else there when you've already got something? That's wasting. 4.5 million, you know it doesn't go very far. But you want to get rid of that. How much is it going to cost to get that all filled in, etc.? That's probably 4.5 million gone. You know it is. It's something we've already got. Do you know what we need? We need people with respect. Yeah? You didn't have to worry about walking down the town or walking under the subway. You didn't have to. So why do we now? What's gone wrong? Hey? You're scared to walk through the subway. For 58 years in my lifetime, people have walked through that subway. So what's changed? 4.5 million. You're papering over cracks. It's a fabric of society that needs changing. Is it not? Is it not? That's all you're doing. You're decorating something in a house that's got subsidence. It's a subsidence that needs sorting out. That's all I've got to say for now, because I get too passionate about it. Yeah? 58 years I've seen it. I've seen the decline. A bustling town. Good shops. And look what we've ended up with. Yeah? I'm fed up of walking through litter. Mud on the paths. We've got its own problem with its own bad people. People who've been dragged up. We used to be brought up with respect, and then we passed that respect on. And it was passed on again. Where's it gone wrong? 4.5 million won't do nothing for this town. I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. And you know it. Yeah? You'd be better off spending it with spending nothing on the town and spending it educating the people who we've got here and teach them respect. You can't flood a town with people from other countries, I'm sorry, but it's got to be said, yeah? And not even tell them how things work in this country, yeah? Bins overflowing. Houses full of Romanians, yeah? Down in King Will, yeah? Every week. Have you ever been down King Will? Have you ever been down King Will? Yeah? So have you been down? It's a street of bins. Yeah? There's 3 bins outside every terraced house overflowing. Yeah? And then the council leaves the bins because they put all the wrong stuff in. The lids are open. The streets are flooding with litter. I open my door in the morning, okay, and I pick up what I can see. You can't paper over the cracks with £4.5 million. Yeah?
I'm going to half answer this gentleman here. I used to live down King William when it was the heyday, clean everything. We actually moved out at number 83. We moved out of there when I was a teenager because crime and antisocial and graffiti, everything. So when you go down there now, it is a shithole. Let's be honest, it's awful. But we can't just keep going on negatively. This is the start of something. It's important what you've said. They'll take it on board. I've sat down with Yvonne. I know Steve, Mark Connolly, and I'm part of the committee. But this is the start. But we need to start. You're absolutely right in what you were saying. I agree. I think Tim agrees. Everybody agrees. But we need to start being more positive. This is their chance to deliver. If they don't deliver what they say, if the public don't come forward, if the community don't come forward and say their bit, there are going to be things. So if everybody was to disagree about the underpass, and they do it, but nobody hardly says anything or comes up with a thing or this, that and the other, it's just going to get done, and then we'll just be more negative because nobody's come with any positives.
Yeah, you're right. Like I said, I apologise.
No, don't. But yeah, I'm the same with you because I live in the square. Yeah, I live in the square opposite the. I completely agree, but we are seeing changes. The committee is making positive changes, and we are seeing a bit more positivity.
I would also just say, and I take your passion, and I'm glad you're passionate, because actually, if I was living here, I would absolutely be annoyed. What I would say to you is that Councillor Dean saw me and went, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I walk around all of these streets. If someone said to me, "We have an issue in that particular road, what do?" I don't drive around, I actually walk around. And I want you to understand that actually, for me doing my job, if I can actually bring something positive to the community by being able to utilise this funding to ensure that your PCSOs and your police have got the tools that can actually then arrest people that are not contributing to the social network of the community, then actually I've done part of the job. In terms of reducing antisocial behaviour, it isn't just one thing, it's a combination of things. And yes, the culture within the community has got to change, but when we start to make sure that certain things are having an impact, people take pride, and therefore it starts somewhere. And ultimately what I'm trying to say to yourself is that I am dedicated to seeing the work that I need to do done, and I will be walking the streets to make sure that I understand the issues and the concerns. So please reach out, and I'm more than happy to meet with you and walk down that particular street. I've actually been there all day today, walking around various streets that have been highlighted. And if there's a street that's been missed off, then I want to know about it. And I will actually come and have a look at it. And if there is fly tipping or so much rubbish, I will be working with my colleagues in the council to actually look at what we can do to ensure that we educate those who are overfilling the bins. We have to stop it, but stop it in the right way. And if we actually don't do it in the right way, we're just going to be ignored. So we have to do it through the right channels and actually take evidence, photographic evidence, and we can use that to actually then use the powers within the council with colleagues and the tools that we've got through this programme to ensure that we're monitoring and ensuring it stops. No, I know. I totally do.
My great-grandfather came to this country 78 years ago. He was welcome. He worked hard. Yeah. He set up his home. He came with nothing. He was the potato plant. Yeah. He got nothing. Yeah. He had 6 kids. He built a shop. Each one of those children has given so much to this community. Yeah. I don't want to lose that. My business wouldn't exist if this town wasn't welcoming. I'm not saying that. You didn't give me a chance to finish. Okay. I'm not saying that. I might come across as being like that, I'm not. Yeah. You've got to be careful. Wherever I go in the world, I expect people to welcome me. And I like to welcome people. You've got to show respect. Now, what I'm saying is this. If you've got somebody with nothing, right, and they're doing something wrong in the We're going to have one final question. Yes, okay. We're going to have one final question. Unless, can I be sure of hands? Is there anybody else that wants to ask a question? Anybody feels that an opportunity to? No. We're going to have one final question and then we're going to wind up. I'd like the people, if some people put some questions online, we'll try to get back to you at some point and get them across. But we'll have one final question for them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm back. Thoughts on increasing footfall in the square, let's say, would be to get rid of the car parking charges. I think if you're coming from out of the area, the easiest place to park is on the retail park because it's free. And you'll just get whatever you need from that area and not come into the town centre. Oh, good.
Anybody else got any other questions they'd like to ask? Thank you so much for coming. If we don't have these meetings, if we don't set something up, and if we don't feedback, we get nothing done. We've rode for 18 months, 2 years. We've actually got some funding for that. We've got something moving forward. Let's continue to use what we've got. Let's continue to build on what people have done in the past to get this car back to where it belongs. Thank you so much for coming. There's loads of people in this room I know have done so much around the town and helped in so many different ways. About cleaning it up, about putting things together, about talking to people and getting things involved. Please continue to smile. Please continue to use the channels you've got now. And let's make sure we do use the channels properly so that we can improve this town and make us all proud of being from Tunstall. I am proud. I love this town. I love its people. Let's make it a nicer place to live in. Let's get it back to where it was. Never mind 20 years ago. Let's go back 30, 40 years. When I was 18, 19, growing up, playing in the park, looking around, going to the market, no after shopping, no house, being part of the community. You're right. Let's educate people that need to character. And I like it now. Thank you very, very, very much. Any other questions you need to ask, please come to us. We're all available as leadership and everybody else. Lastly, Christmas tree switch on of December in the square. Come along. Lots of hard work going into that. If I'm too pardon? And Mark, the indoor market's on before it, and we want them all coming together. The reason we're going on, the market is going on, then we're coming back into it afterwards. We want the market involved, we want to be involved in the market. Come along. 2 till 6. The market starts from the market opens, which will be about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. 8:30. So Christmas festivities start at the market at 8:30, end in the square at 6 o'clock. Please come along. Please come and be part of it. Let's support each other.